Hello fellow mercenaries and welcome back to Stoneshard. Today we are not going to be playing, this is going to be the final video before the release of the game, and I wanted to do something special, so I'm going to be reading all the lore out loud for those of you who don't want to read it on your own but maybe do want to sample it a bit. It is very well written, so I hope you enjoy, and without further ado we're going to do the main quest notes first, and then I'm going to do all the treatises at the end. So yeah, let's just jump into it. So the very first piece of lore that we find beside the treatise that we are reading right now is the diary page and a monastic book. And I think we'll start with the monastic book. It's written by Abbot Vidian, both of them. So let's see what he has to say, just offhand, not a diary. And it goes like this. 3rd of Reaping. Our brothers toiled well today. I hope that the coming harvest will recompense us for our hard work as it was last year. Another few bountiful seasons and we shall be able to save enough gold to patch our shabby cloister. Patience and diligence are truly the greatest virtues. 5th of Reaping. This night Brother Albert went down with a sudden fever. The heat from his body is so severe one can burn a hand on him. I have no idea how he managed to catch a cold like this. Perhaps he worked in the rain? Wouldn't be his first time. I left a couple of brothers by Albert's side and sent Manshire for a healer. Herbal poultices and earnest prayer should be more than enough to cure this ailment. The 6th of Reaping. Since last night, Brother Albert has stopped recognizing any of us. He keeps on babbling some nonsense, but no one can make any sense of it. The healer spent an entire night by his bedside, tried all his potions, but it was no use. We ended up paying him and sending him back. If Albert doesn't get better soon by himself, it will be his funerals we'll have to pay for. The 6th of Reaping, evening. Brother Ivor is sick as well. It's not a cold. And then we move on into the diary pages written by the same guy. So this is kind of like a hefty old book with a chewed up binding and damp yellow pages. But this is then the diary pages, piece of old parchment torn out from some book. Might have been torn out from the same book then. So yeah, this is the 10th of Reaping, so a few days later. 10th of Reaping. The miasma of this horrible disease now permeates the entire monastery. Half of our brothers are delirious. Their bodies are riddled with scabs and boils, blood is seeping through their pores, and we can't do anything to ease their suffering. I declared a quarantine and ordered to lock down everyone who showed signs of the disease in the catacombs. But I fear it's all in vain, and the rest will go down sick in a couple of days. The host give me strength to persevere and save our congregation. So the host, I think, is the god of this realm. It sounds like monotheism, but there might be a bigger pantheon that we aren't hearing about. This might just be one monastery dedicated to one of the gods, or this is the only god. Who knows? More on that later, maybe. Who knows? So here we are in the antechamber to the actual dungeon, and we have the second node right here. It says the following. 14th of Reaping. Today the entire neighborhood gathered around our monastery. The healer had brought the disease back to Manshire. Blood was leaking from their eyes. They were hopelessly sick. I prohibited anyone to go outside. Then they tried to break in. A few brothers lost their lives, but we managed to push them back to the gates. When the crazed crowd tried to burn us alive along with the building, I had to break the quarantine and bring even the healthy brothers into the catacombs. Truly out of the frying pan and into the fire. And then we're going to go on in and read the second note. Oh, this one's trickier. Let's try. Blood gets into my eyes and drips down on the parchment. We are doomed. In these sinister depths, even time itself flows differently. I've lost count of the days. When was the last time I left my cell? A couple of hours ago? A day? A week? I may be the only one who is still alive. Every night I am haunted by visions. As the candlelight fades, shadowy figures step out from the darkness. Their weakling whispers drive me crazy. The host is silent. The host is deaf to our prayers. The host betrayed us. Where do I seek strength to fight back the temptation, to break the oath? A cure. A cure. All I ask for is to be cured. In the middle section where the little waterfall is and the corpse, we find this little letter. And let's try reading this out loud. With this paper we, Knut the Elder, and every denizen of Manshire, pledge to pay a bounty of 700 crowns to every man, be it a commoner, a mercenary, or a noble knight, who will take on the task of descending into the Abbey of the Holy Revelation and cleanse it from the spirits or any other filth inhabiting it, and return back safe and sound with a proof of their deed. We hereby sign this, X, 7th of Bloom. So this is probably actually a letter for Varen himself as the mercenary company. They found this, and I am presuming that the X is Knut. He probably didn't write this letter and doesn't know how to sign his name, so he put an X at the bottom. That's a nice little detail. Alright, and then we get to the final piece of lore before the boss, which is this Abbot's note. And it says, Einar, there are some alarming news from the capital. People say that King Ethbert, blessed be his name, is gravely ill and has been fighting death for a week now. Perhaps it's just rumors, spread by ill-wishers. It's no secret that Ethbert has many of them. Nevertheless, we shall pray for the host for our monarch's swift recovery. Relay to the rest of the brothers that we will need another service tonight. Abbot Vidian. And that is the final piece of lore in the main plot as such, and then we are going to move on into the treatises, which have, as far as I know, I haven't actually read them yet, so I don't think they have anything to do with the main plot, but they are well written, as this is, so I will read it, and here we go. Now then we come to the treatises, and we will start with the weapon treatises, I think, and save the magic ones that I hope will be a little bit more interesting later down the line. So here's the Sword Treatise, written by Myrvan Vir de Boer, Alvinian Codex of Fencing. An excerpt from the 7th chapter titled The Art of Defense in a Duel. The stance, which I call supporting stance, will help you out in a duel when you are forced to act defensively. For instance, when your opponent has a strength, speed, or maneuverability advantage. For starters, pay close attention to your posture and footwork. If you need to parry a strike from the left side, shift your right leg forward, bending it slightly in the knee. The other leg should firmly remain in the original position. For this stance to work properly, you need to learn how to maintain balance in this position. Then you need to outstretch your hands forward, point the blade aiming downwards. Your wrist should be slightly below your eye level. The leading hand's thumb points at the ground. In this stance, you should be able to easily deflect strikes from every direction. Don't be afraid to perform a counter if you spot an opportunity. And remember, a persistent attacker will sooner or later get through your passive defenses. That was the Sword Treatise. Axe Treatise 1, written by Baron Vuss. Folk tales recorded at Manshire Summer Fair year 417. A song about the headsman of Bryn. Oh, it's a song. I am not going to sing this. This is going to be reading in a form of a little bit, maybe I'll add some poetic flair. No promises. A story of a headsman who had a house in Bryn. Fat-bellied petty villain, he swung his axe with glee. And then one day a peasant came, to hint at lack of grind. There's no sharpness to the blade, with only strength behind. The headsman laid his head on block. I'll prove this axe is right. How dare you over here walk, and say it's just my might? The peasant chopped that villain's neck. The bloodied edge was true. This hardly was the strongest hack, but through the spine it blew. Now would you look at that? This fellow wasn't wrong. His axe is nothing to scoff at. It cuts for weak and strong. Interesting way of writing a axe treatise. I don't feel like I learned a lot about axes, but whatever. On to the dagger treatise, written by Fearless Exposer. The amazing adventures of Winfred the Rogue, or the cautionary tale of love, crime, and repercussions. Lady Avina, scared. Ah, couldn't we do without a fight? Sir Urchin, indolently. This insult cannot be washed off with blood. What's said is said. Things done cannot be reversed. The duel must solve our argument. Lady Avina, perhaps. Sir Urchin, no, no, and no. I demand this duel and won't settle for less. Unfred the Rogue, humbly. Very well, so be it. Act 2. Scene 2. The duel. Sir Urchin is armed with sword and buckler. Unfred is armed with sword and dagger. Opponents come to blows and exchange a few attacks. Unfred skillfully dodges, charging Sir Urchin. Sir Urchin, out of breath. Curses! You are stronger an opponent than I thought. Unfred the Rogue, boastfully. It is what it is. What you lack is finesse. Sir Urchin, I am a noble knight, not some brigand. Unfred the Rogue, then where is your armor? Sir Urchin, the codex demands. Unfred disarms Sir Urchin with a sudden lunge. Unfred the Rogue, mockingly. The codex? First time I hear about such a thing. And what does it demand? Sir Urchin, how? It can't be. Well then, the victory is yours. And now... Unfred the Rogue interrupts him. And now, my friend, you are done. Unfred stabs helpless Sir Urchin with the dagger. The nobleman crumbles to the floor, choking on his own blood. Sir Urchin, but why, you scoundrel? But the codex... Unfred carelessly cleans blood off his dagger. No one cares about your codex. This was a tale of a rogue, and I liked it. Alright, on to the Great Source treatise, which should be the opposite. Written by Nicatus. Sir Dareth, the bane of orcs, son of his people, and a knight in shining armor. And with the name of a fair lady on his lips, Sir Dareth dons his helmet and lowers the visor. He draws his sword from the sheath. The blade shines in the moonlight. Raising his weapon high, Sir Dareth challenges Argo. His eyes burn with passion. His voice is steel. And fear has no command over the paladin. The chieftain laughs arrogantly, speaks. You have found your death. There will be no mercy for you and your people. No one will escape the massacre, and every fallen warrior will be avenged tenfold. And, once more, the old forest will rise in place of your cities. Once more, eternal sacred oaks will turn green, as it was long ago. 5 orcs bared their swords. Smouldering with rage, they charge at the hero. Their strikes might crush a lesser man, but Sir Dareth perseveres. He holds his ground. Crimson blood drips down his forehead. His soul boils with righteous fury. A single swing of his sword lops 5 heads off. Argo stumbles in fear. He flees at the sight of his fallen brethren. Sir Dareth was quicker. He chases him down, ending the orc with his blade. Alright, that is how you use a greatsword. let's take a dive into more weapons here. So then we have Mace Treatise 1, written by Idrik York. The complete catalogue of weapons collected by Idrik York, the merchant and the masoness, updated and illustrated. Over the years, I've collected a number of distinctive weapons from all corners of the world. Eldorian Morgensterns, Scadian bludgeons, Elven Bostokens. Some of them are plain and unassuming. Others, mostly the ones from the east, are the works of art, the source of possible pride for any craftsman. A reader who isn't familiar with warfare may ask whether this primitive tool can match a good old sword. There are a few answers to this. First of all, a mace is a perfect choice for a warrior who isn't experienced in fencing. A mace is easy to learn, easy to handle and maintain, and requires only two things: strength and dexterity. Secondly, a mace is effective against mail and light armor. Heavy plates are not that easy, but even if a mace fails to bash through them, a lucky hit can daze your opponent for a couple of precious seconds. And finally, maces don't get stuck in crushed armor and shields, which can be important in the thick of a fight. Bash your opponents to victory. And Staff's Treatise 1, written by E. Tai, The 9 Virtues and the Path to Unity. The staff is akin to the path. It's straight and unassuming at first glance, but it holds many intricacies which are impossible to grasp with the limited mind. The staff doesn't yield its secrets to those who are impatient, arrogant, cowardly, or corrupted with affluence. Only those who understand the essence of things can hope to unlock its potential. To learn the staff, you need to understand 3 principles. All wants must be reined in. All thoughts must serve the great goal. Emotions lead you astray from the path, and therefore they lead you to ruin. The staff is not just your weapon, it is a continuation of your very self. And remember that blindly performing the techniques and learning the motions won't teach you the most important thing: the unity, the greatest of the 9 virtues. So yeah, the staff is very deep and inspired. It reminds me a little bit of Taoism. All right, then we have Ranged Weapons Treatise 1, written by Yova Amoe. The Deserts of Marth and the Secrets of the Dunes, Traveling and Adventuring Notes. At this very moment, we bounce around in our saddles as the horses carry us down the sandy road. Somehow I missed the exact moment when the proper white path, layered with cobblestones, gave way to some uneven trail, trampled through the countryside by the hoofs of hundreds of horses and camels. Apparently, our journey has only just begun. Sands, sands, sands. We haven't stumbled on a single living soul in 3 weeks. Nothing but camels and dunes, silently observing our haggard procession of men and elves. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing my mind. What if our supplies run out before we reach our destination? I try not to think about it. Damn these nomads. It seems they are determined to make sure we are not getting out alive. For 4 days we have been trying to escape them, but they always catch up with us, lose a few arrows, and then swiftly retreat. We had to leave Jarum and Abad behind at our latest camping spot. They never regained consciousness. The host bless the Sand Guard. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be writing these words. There were only 7 of us when we spotted a cloud of dust on the horizon. At first, we thought it to be nomads, and we prepared to say our lives goodbye. Thankfully, it was a patrol of the Sand Guard. For the next week, they accompanied us until the end of our journey. It was mostly uneventful. The nomads avoid the Sand Guard like fire. During that week's travel, I learned from their commander that nomads must be repelled with their own tactics. He also shared some useful advice on how to do it. I'll write everything down below. And you can surmise that the rest is about archery. So that's an interesting angle. They were being chased by people using archery tactics. Alright. They should have brought shields. And Shields Treatise 1, written by Nicetas. The tale of Sir Winfrid the Brave, the great knight and the hero of Aldor. The battle rages on. Sir Winfrid is surrounded by enemies. What will it be? Death or salvation? Only fate can decide who will live and who will die. The blade is blunted. Such sword is good for nothing. The shield bristles with dozens of arrows. No more hope. He deflects strike after strike, biding his time, but his strength is running out. Will there be salvation? Where is lawyer Reynold? Why is he late? The sun is about to set. The sound of a battle horn. A thunderous gallop of hoofs kicks the dust in the air. Cowardly enemies scatter. Wounded but undefeated, Sir Winfrid finally lowers his shield. So it's about standing your ground with the shield high. Alright. Then we are going to move into the magic. Let's start with fire magic, the pyromantic treatise, written by an unknown well-wisher. Useful tips for a novice pyromancer coming from an experienced one. Dear friend, we may not know each other, but considering that you opened this tome, I'll take a wild guess and assume that you are intent on learning the ancient art of pyromancy, the art I came to master after many years. I'd rather not disclose my name. All you need to know is that I hold a high position among fire mages, and the only thing which forces me to play cloak and dagger is that our circle forbids sharing the knowledge with outsiders. But despite all these restrictions set upon me, I always yearned to not only bear power over the flame, but, akin to the gods of old, to enlighten the world. So hearken to me, as there is no one else who will share this knowledge with you. As you may see, there's nothing complicated about visualizing the flames and then summoning them into existence with the sheer force of your mind, despite what my arrogant brethren may claim. When the time comes, they'll pay for all the injustices they subjected me to, and for dragging my good name through the mud. Keep practicing, never stop learning, stay spirited, and remember, fire always attracts fire. Alright. The fire-breathing salamander kin and everything we know about them. An excerpt from the 14th chapter titled Curious Tricks of Salamanders. As you may have learned from my previous books, salamanders spend the majority of their time near sources of heat and flames. You probably remember that these exotic lizards have affinity for all kinds of magic, so it's self-evident that salamanders are soaked with fire essence. This fact lets them perform certain fiery tricks which would make even the most experienced pyromancer jealous. You may ask, can we truly learn anything from these mere beasts? We can indeed, and I'm planning to demonstrate it. Now let's get straight to business and try imitating one of their most beloved tricks. Though I have to warn you, not everyone can perform it from the get-go, where you need a certain level of magic experience to begin with. Find a place where your exercises won't set anything on fire, unless you want to follow in the footsteps of a renowned fire mage, Frit Konoken, who decided that it was a good idea to cook dinner without getting up from his straw bed. Draw in as much air as you can, then hold your breath for a dozen of seconds. Imagine the brightest, the hottest flame you've ever witnessed in your life. Feeling the heat rise up in your chest? Now exhale forcefully and spread your arms to guide the stream of flame. If you followed my guidance to the letter, you should now be able to conjure an impressive fire wave. And that is how you do fire magic. Oh, sounds easy, huh? Alright, and then the final, my favorite, is the geomantic treatises, of course, written by Joran of Bryn, the traveling notes on my journey to Beast. The most distinctive tradition of the Nistrian cult of the Mother Mountain is their worship to giant boulders. In Nistra, you can still find a number of monuments built of finely chiseled boulders, forming giant circles. Some of them are completely covered in writings. Rain and wind rendered the majority of it utterly indecipherable, but some were preserved exceptionally well. I'm trying to develop a habit to record every surviving symbol I encounter. Unfortunately, I still can't crack this ancient alphabet. I can only hope that if not me, then at least my descendants may solve this mystery. Well then, looks like I was disheartened way too easily. Spending a couple of my precious weeks on that risky search after Foda's tomb has returned my investment 100-fold, rewarding me for all the misery I've experienced in the process. When I saw that the epitaph was doubled in ancient Eldorian, I couldn't believe my eyes. This means that with only a bit of effort I can finally cross-reference and decipher some of the words. Yes, finally! After months of diligent work, I, Joran of Bryn, have discovered the secret of the ancient Nistrian alphabet. A large portion of my records appear to describe the most fascinating magic rituals and practices. I don't think I've ever encountered anything like it. But firstly, I'm heading to Maine. Someone from the Academy may want to have a look at my findings. And following up on that, we have Geomantic Treatise 2, written by Magister Burris, the Unified Workshop on Geomancy. Let's dive into that. The first lesson, titled Petrification, Stone Spikes, and Everything You Need to Know About Them. Greetings. I'd like to sincerely congratulate you. If you read these words, then chances are high that you weren't kicked out during your first year in the Academy. Assuming this, I'm not wasting time on any further introductions. This lesson will teach you about the second most important spell of earth magic, petrification. Fools may grimace in disdain at this suggestion, too eager to jump straight to boulder tossing and explosions. But as any diligent student may already know, a timely petrification can change the flow of battle or even save your life. And now we can safely conclude that a petrified foe is not only good for decorating your house, but also provides you with geomantic power, which means that skewering the rest of the enemies with stone spikes should become even easier. Obviously, this requires a runic boulder. Raise it behind your foe and resonate with it, unleashing the energy trapped in the stone. And that's all there is to the lore at the moment. There were a few spelling errors along the way, but I managed to, I think, skip across them. I hope you guys enjoyed. And then as a little cherry on top, I will give you guys the ending of the run where I managed to go through and read all of the notes, just to have a little boss fight at the end here, a dramatic closure. It is a shield build backed up by the fireball. And I chose the shield build because that's an easy way to get through the dungeon. It's not good versus the boss, so don't expect this to be a win. But whatever, we'll jump in and do it. So, we gotta go and take out a statue first. Oh, and I should show my equipment at least. We have a handy war flail here. Oh, and I have an enchantment scroll that I didn't use. So let's just put that on the heater shield here. Super. Alright, canvas on, cone helmet, all the things, and 2 unidentified items. And I forgot to drink my potions, oh no. Let's just drink an unidentified potion in the middle of a fight. How bad can it be? We got a accuracy potion. And an unidentified potion, which was a potion of curiosity. So extra received experience. That's another unidentified potion. That was a potion of purification. So that really worked out quite nicely. Okay, and we are cursed for some reason. I don't think I've ever had that one before. Alright, let's move on. Dodge that. That guy will die from that poison that he's standing in. Or not. Let's put up this shield maybe. Yeah, and then the counter strike is free when the shield blocks. 25% chance of that happening. Let's throw a firebolt in this guy's face. And can I charge with this? No. Let's just dive him. Not a problem. Come up here, hit the statue. Put the shield up. And there we go. Now this part, the shield is really bad against the boss. Well, I'm just gonna go in and try to tank him, I think. We can maybe try to light him on fire a little bit, that would be nice. Do we drink anything here? I am thirsty, so yeah. Also lowers intoxication. Okay, let's just go in and challenge him. That's the problem right there. Alright, shoot him with the firebolts. He's coming at me. Give him a daze, maybe? If I daze him now, does that change or stop his thing? I don't know. That's a thing worth testing, I suppose. If I shield him, there's a 68% chance to daze. What's his daze resistance? That must be the same as stun resistance, maybe? And this one... Let's try this one, just see what happens. Okay. Yeah. And that's the end of the game. So, that was a test. We've already beaten the game. I'm looking forward to the final release, 6th of February, and I'm hoping that I can release the first episode then. I don't really know what the exact... I have been following the news, but I don't know the exact nature of how the game is going to be working. I've seen the 4 different characters. I don't want to speculate into what I'm going to play yet. I'm going to find that out when I open the game and follow my heart. So yeah, I hope you guys will join me then, and see you soon. Bye-bye.